Hello and welcome to the Racers HQ podcast. I'm your host, Matt Murphy, and joining me on the line tonight is our faithful co-host, Pat Mulry, the two remaining of the original four that were supposed to be on this podcast tonight. So thank you, Pat, for sticking with the fight or whatever. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
100%. You know I'm down for the pod. I'm always down for the pod.
Always DTP. Nice.
That's right, down to pod.
Down to pod. Well, we've got a great show tonight. Pat and I are going to give some garage updates, just a few things going on. Then we're going to hear all about an exciting adventure Pat's going to get involved with here at Road America. And then I'm going to finish up with some hot takes on the Gran Turismo movie because I've got thoughts.
So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it and you intend to see it, maybe skip the last part of it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't have a good enough memory to really spoil the thing, but I have some generalizations, okay?
I haven't even seen the movie, and I have really strong opinions about it. I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, we'll just make some up.
Make them up, and then people won't know. It'll be coded. It'll be like salting the hash, you know. Anyway,
I love the deep crypto talk there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's kick it off, Mulry. What have you been doing in your garage or other various motorsports related activities?
So Ben was able to be over at the house both days last weekend because the boys were with their grandparents, and so we got a lot of work done on the car. I think the electrical is, if it's not all wired up, it's almost all wired up. Like maybe the only things that aren't wired up are the things we don't realize need to be wired up. One of the funny things about doing that is, as you're going through and designing the kind of designing the harness and where everything is going to go, like you start off obviously with like figuring out what all the loads are, like what needs power, right? So headlights and horn, and because horn's important for racing, but headlights and fog lights and ignition and the radio, all that stuff, right? And then as we get towards the end, it's like, okay, where's this connect? Oh, we forgot that, like the rumble strip, or like just little kind of things along the way that kind of get left out. So we've had to amend it a little bit, but I wish in some ways I wish podcasting were a more visual medium so I could show you how much wire has come out of that car that is not being replaced. It is like 2 large tubs of wire that have been removed from the car. And that's after we had thinned that harness when we built Miku. So it's pretty amazing, and it'll be much easier to troubleshoot. So we got that mostly done. I got the and by we, that's mostly Ben. I did some of it. I did the front end going forward from the front firewall, but he did really the yeoman's work on that. And then while he was doing a lot of the interconnection inside the like at the new fuse panel area and inside the passenger compartment, I finished up and got under the car, and so the drivetrain is completely attached and final torqued from the end of the axle nut all the way to where the guy bow attaches the transmission. So all the way back. Only thing that we have left to do on that is to safety wire the axle stub bolts, and that's ready to go.
Okay. Nice.
And then of course once that went in, got the heat shield in, which we forgot to put in the last time we had everything out, which may have contributed to early center support bearing bushing. Center support bushing.
Center support.
But
bushing.
That thing was trashed when it came back from Hallett. I mean, it was garbage. And
really,
yeah, and that was new when that new drive shaft went in. I think it was. But we had forgotten to put the heat shield back in between the two, and I think probably just cooked it. But yeah, it was completely garbage. So replace that while I was doing the putting the drive shaft back in, got the exhaust all the way in. The The only thing that's left to do on the exhaust is I need to install just a rear hanger that I think we
Okay.
forgot to pull off of the Miku chassis before she crossed the Rainbow Bridge.
Right.
And so exhaust is all the way in, all the way, which is kind of a pain, but that's done.
Nice.
So you know, there's still some mechanical stuff left to do. I need to, um, put the cross brace back on under the front. We need to finish. Once we get the wiring done, we need to put the door bars in. But that is maybe after rotisserie the car, the second best sort of planning decision
Mm,
that we made was to leave out the door bars until the very end.
that's smart.
Um, and it's made it so much easier to do the wiring and everything in the cabin where you're not having to climb over those door bars or
Mm,
lay on top of them or whatever. They're so in the way for constructing the car.
right.
Seat is ready to go in. That's been test fitted. We pulled it back out just to make it easier to get the wiring done, but that's ready to go. The rear firewall is finished. I had to cut out some like some reliefs so that wires could get through, and the remote fuel hose and stuff like that, but it's all the way in. So it's looking
Nice, man.
good.
Yeah.
The tough part is um, October is a disaster month for both Ben and I in terms of availability of time. We're both around this weekend, but the kids are back home, so he's going to be much more limited again. And then I'm out of town the next weekend. He's out of town that weekend and the following weekend. And then the third weekend in October, I'm out of town again. I mean, basically, like in October, we've got one weekend when both of us are going to be there. So
Yeah.
I think Houston might not happen. I'm not quite ready to pull the eject handles on that yet, but
Still, it's
I don't
pretty
really.
exciting even to be pushing to Houston. I mean, that's
Yeah,
real exciting because I mean that car's coming together. It's amazing how quickly they go together, just like Lego blocks.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that
it is
wiring job probably the biggest.
without question that's the biggest.
Yeah.
Um, after and then the next one would be the cage, right? But we were able to do the cage while Miku was still on her feet. Um, but I don't think I want to take the car to the track without having done at least a shakedown up at ECR on it. We
Right.
found that to be a great way to have not a great race weekend um, in the past by omitting that step or just not doing it. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see how things come together this weekend and the next one because conceivably we could be at the track the weekend before Houston, and then if everything went well, make Houston. But I think Um, I don't think it's better than a 50-50 at this point. And
And for
on
the
top of which, for Houston,
listeners, Houston is November.
yeah, first weekend or second weekend in November.
All right,
Um,
MSR Houston. Always a classic
yeah,
race.
yeah. And then the other thing is, like as a team, it's strange, but we've only got like two guys that can drive that race. And if that, I haven't like put out the final call to see what everyone is. But if that's where we are, then there's no sense in going anyway because we're not really going to be competitive with two drivers, probably. Even if those two drivers are uh, the fantabulous Steve Nicks and myself. So
Yeah, I mean
we'll see.
that's a ringer right there. You guys
Yeah,
could win. Well, man.
but I mean, with two drivers, it's just tough. You really do get worn out.
Yeah.
Um, so if we found three, it'd be a little bit more doable. But still, it's really I don't want to take the car to the track until it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really want to be finding new stuff on test and tune the day before our first race. So then it maybe we just push to Road Atlanta, and then that comes down to who can go if we have enough guys that want to go to Road Atlanta and can go to Road Atlanta and can drive for Road Atlanta. And then if Road Atlanta doesn't happen, then we just push to Birmingham in February or whatever. So, which is not what I want to do. I'd love, I mean, if it were up to me, we'd be at, every race on the Lemons calendar with our car and our guys, and we'd all be, independently wealthy enough to afford to do that. But I don't think anybody has hit the lottery yet to do that. So,
Do we need to find more guys, more drivers, or
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's one of the tough things I think for us is we've got such a good group of guys, and we've kind of brought other guys in on a temporary basis that have not worked out. Some more notoriously than others.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's one of the things that's really special for all of us is that it's fun to be together. Like we enjoy being together and hanging out and doing this as our thing that we do together.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not just like we all want to win, but it's
Mhm.
not really that we're doing this because we want to win. We're really doing it because we like hanging out together and doing this thing together.
Right.
And so that's um, I'm not saying there aren't other people that could fit in with us and do that. I just think it's not just everybody, right?
Right.
I mean, clearly the requirements are you either have to be an exceptionally cool lawyer or an
Mm.
exceptionally cool IT guy. And if you're not
Hmm.
one of those two, you can be Dave
Mechanics.
Mulvey,
Yeah.
uh, or you're
I
just
put
out.
Dave in. I put Dave in the IT category. You know, he sells software.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and Dave is certainly every bit as nerdy as the rest of us.
Oh, the
So
guy's
yeah,
hella nerdy.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all love, Dave,
I'll love Dave. Yeah. I hope you get
and
feeling
hope
better, bro.
your voice gets feeling better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we got Eric. He's the mechanic, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
And Ben's an
That's true.
engineer. So it is. It's engineering
But Ben's an
things.
engineer in IT,
Fair. Man,
right?
we can't escape those nerds.
No, I mean we're all nerds. There's no
Hmm.
question about that.
Yeah.
It's just what we do to put the dollar bills in the bank account that then we waste on
Mm.
race cars.
Dollar bills, y'all. Well, very cool, Mulry. Well, thanks for the update on the E36. That is very exciting. It is going along so quick, and I hope that we find some staff for you to fill those seats because I'd love to see that thing, see what kind of pace it's got. I bet it's a good second or so faster at Houston for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it's still on jack stands. I haven't taken it down yet, but I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to when we drop it to do the alignment and put it on the scales
Mhm.
and see what the weight is really coming in.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's going to
awesome.
be substantially less.
Awesome. That's going to help in so many ways.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
man. Um, well,
So how about the Murphy
yeah.
garage?
How about the Murphy Garage? Okay. iRacing. I've been doing some iRacing. It's so great. I kind of turned off iRacing when I was studying for that test, but I'm back.
Yeah.
I really want to get consistent at it. And I've just been trying to get an actual race in. So, um, you know, not the best performance at all doing it that way, but I just hopped in some races the last couple of days. So I've been racing the 86, the like GR86 Toyota,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the Red Bull Ring. And that's been fun. I've got 2 races in. I'm definitely at the back of the pack, but it's a lot of fun racing in that group, and everybody's fairly respectable. It's like a D license race, so it's not just epic rookies. Yeah, so it's been fun. I don't know. Have you touched your rig much at all, Pat? I know that you got a dope rig.
Dude, I walk past it,
Uh-huh.
constantly in the garage to and from working on the E36,
Yeah,
and it's had a blanket over it probably since April.
that's good. At
Um,
least it's not collecting
it's
dust.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Mm,
it's at least keeping the dust off of it. But I
right.
have been meaning to wheel it back in here and do some more. In fact, I will probably do that after we get off of this podcast.
Mhm.
Wheel it back in here and hook it up because I want to do some more, just some final laps at Road America.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to that. Good foreshadowing there, Mr. Mulry. All right, so Red Bull Ring didn't work out so well, but I will say this real quick. My wife turned off the light when I was like in the middle of my VR session, and things got all wackadoo.
Yeah,
That headset needs like it's an inside out kind of object tracker kind of thing. So it needs those objects to track because it was real confused, and so like my vision was drifting and stuff, and I had to keep hitting the like recenter button, but it was a mess there towards the end of that last race last night. But I
that's really interesting. I
digress.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought that That makes sense. I wouldn't have necessarily thought of that either. Like that, it needs that just some ambient light to be able to see what's going on.
Yeah, just like tracks objects and like kind of uses
Uh-huh.
your relative space in there, and yeah, it did
Mhm.
not work.
So does the
Yeah,
GR86 in iRacing reflect the lubrication problems of the real world GR86?
not yet in my experience. It is a very anemic car. It's a
Yeah,
great driving car. I mean, it's basically a Miata. It's like a hardtop Miata, but I like it. Yeah, easy to control. Like when the back kicks out, it slows you
yeah,
down, but it doesn't spin you, kind of thing. So fun to race because you know you're just confident enough to like not just spin it all the time, just kind of battle with
yeah.
folks. So
I saw
that was
on
pretty
the
cool.
update that they were adding like a couple of the IMSA GTP cars, the Porsche and maybe the Cadillac.
They definitely have like I think they've got the Porsche, Acura, maybe the Cadillac.
Acura.
Yeah, I think. And they've got the new Ferrari like GT3 car, and it's sexy.
Yeah,
You got to pay for it,
yeah,
but I'd
of
love
course.
to try that thing. Yeah, they got a lot of great content. All the time with new content. Some new
Yeah,
like crazy
absolutely.
like backwoods European track that I'd like to use or try. It's got a lot of elevation changes. I can't pronounce it, but I'll have to check it out.
So have you tried any of the GTP cars?
Not the new ones. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but no, I guess I haven't tried the GTP cars. No, like I'll get the F1 car or something when it comes out, but I never
Right.
race those. I never use them. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather have the new Ferrari GT3 car because like that's what I'm going to use if I'm going to go. Because like that's populated and Miatas and 86s are populated. And if you want to go have a race with a bunch of
Huh.
people, everything else is kind of like clicky and you got to know the exact time. And I've just got to hop in a race. I can't be, you know, being all picky with when I get to go iRace.
Right.
And so usually the answer is those more popular classes.
That's really interesting that the Ferrari is so populated.
Well, it's that GT3 category, right? So
Yeah.
that's done well, like the MSID GT3 stuff. So it'd be
Yeah.
like,
Oh, so it's
Lambo.
not just the Ferrari. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, no. It's like Lambo, Ferrari, Audi at
McLaren,
Sebring. Yeah. Um, you get the Mercedes. They
Porsche.
also, yeah, we did an enduro around Bathurst in those. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a ton of fun. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're pretty cool high tech cars, and it really feels like a super premium game when you're driving those cars compared to like the MX-5 or something.
Right.
But
Just like in real life.
yeah, yeah. So that was iRacing. I did get in my garage at some point, and it was right after the Occam's Racer interview, which was awesome. And
Yep.
I cut out my new splitter. I had the design all set up and everything, and I kind of like double checked the measurements, kind of the whole measured
Mm-hmm.
twice, cut once
Yep.
thing. And this is by far my most accurate splitter ever. Because I was like kind of like measuring out a grid to make sure that the points on either side of the splitter blade kind of matched, to make sure it wasn't just all
Yeah.
cattywampus and stuff. Um, and yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the outcome. And then, so this is like a 5-ply marine grade, and
Yep.
I ended up taking a few of the tips that Mario provided, and I couldn't get like a full-on, aerofoil blade out of it,
Right.
right? But
Sure.
I sanded the shit out of the underside of this thing, and really got a nice, um, like lip on the underside, on the front, on the leading edge, right?
Uh-huh.
And then made sure that all the trailing edge stuff was also pretty smoothed out, kind of diffused. But I mean, it's not more than an inch, right?
Yeah.
Inboard of the edge. And I sanded through several plies, and I feel like I made a halfway decent effort, but I was sanding on that thing forever, and at some point my arms started getting real tingly, and I was like, man, like this is about all we're going to be able to reasonably do, right? Without a planer, right? Like,
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to
so,
use a planer on plywood anyway, but you could have used
yeah.
the belt sander.
Belt sander might have, yeah, sure, that might have helped. Um, but then one other pro tip on that, I did find some good wood filler because I was talking about how that thing was chipping a lot
Yeah.
and how I was going to have to fill in some voids. I got this stuff plastic wood, so I was just checking out Ace I mean, this is available at Ace, and it's definitely like you can tell it's in a a can, and you gotta pop the top, and it's like an epoxy, and it's toxic, but it's wood colored. It's like brown epoxy, and you
Yeah.
just spread it on the thing, and it hardens. All the it's like there's a bunch of ether in there. I mean, it evaporates
Hmm.
real quick and becomes hard as a rock, and you can sand it down and just with your regular old sander, and works
Right.
like a champ. So plastic wood,
So
check it
did you
out.
like skim coat the whole thing in that, or just the part that you had sanded?
Not the worst idea, but no, I did not. I just did the stuff that was like voided out, right? Like a few things just chipped off
Oh
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
terrible
Sure.
plywood and stuff, and just kind of
Yeah.
hit up those edges that were rough. But I could see that, right? I mean, and in fact, that might even be a good way to build up those shapes that we were talking about, to where you could,
Yeah, totally.
kind of build up a line down the middle there. Um, anyway, just thoughts on splitters and sanding and stuff. But yeah, ready to install that and move on to the next battle.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I've been thinking
so
about splitters a lot. Not that I'm going to do anything on the E36 right now, but I've got access to a um, what do they call that? It's a CNC machine for wood, right? So it's
okay,
just 3 axis, um, and most people just use it in 2D to cut out shapes, or then they also use it like for engraving or something like that.
okay,
But
sure.
it is perfectly competent um, to do 3D shaping. Um, particularly it would depend on the end mill that you use for the
Hmm.
plateauing, right? But
Hmm.
what we could do is to take maybe 2 pieces of 1/2 inch plywood and
Hmm.
glue them together. So you've
Hmm.
got a 1 inch piece of good thick plywood, and then
Hmm.
remove so you have that kind of wing shape,
Right.
that camber at kind of the leading edge, like he was talking about. Um, so that you're creating that compression area between the bottom of the splitter and the ground, and then it
Yeah.
would open up to create that downforce behind it. That and could do it on the edges as well, like he was talking about. So you'd have some camber going to the outsides as well, so that when you're leaned over, it's
Hmm.
um, still creating that downforce. That's something we totally could look into in the future.
Yeah, no, that'd be an interesting project. I mean, I'd love to just put a simple splitter on the E36, but we can have that fight some other time, I guess. Uh,
Well, I mean, I've got one. It's
yeah.
in storage.
Okay.
It's much more deluxe than the one that's on there now. Um,
Cool.
I just
Okay.
I just haven't gone to the effort of putting it on there. One of our team members often accuses me of trying to fix something that isn't broken. So I'm like, fine, I won't put the big fat splitter on there that will make us faster.
It would help. Okay, cool. Well, good luck with that effort. Real quick, we've got. I want to hear about your exciting trip to Elkhart Lake. Is that where Road America is?
That is where Road America is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going up
But
to. Did we exhaust Garage Talk?
well, I was going to give a quick shout out to our new listener, Luke.
Yes.
Luke, thanks for reaching out to me at Rotary, and he was very excited about the aerodynamics chat, and came up to me at all kinds of aerodynamics questions. And he's not into racing or anything. He was just really excited about that chat, and so yeah. So thanks for listening, and I hope you can find another episode that brings you some sort of entertainment. Um, that's all I had. Wanted to say shout out to Luke. But Pat, let's hear about Road America. This sounds like an exciting trip.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm very excited to go up there. So next week, a week from today, actually, I'll leave for Wisconsin, fly up there, and I'm driving with the Fireball Racing team in their 1967 Ford Fairlane. Then I think that's right. The number 15 car. It's done up in the livery of, I guess Mario Andretti drove a Ford Fairlane in NASCAR in
Okay,
'67. Um,
nice.
and so it's done up in his livery. It's got, I doubt it can't be the original engine, right? I mean, that car's way too old for that, but got a 302 in it. I assume that's a carbureted 302.
Hmm.
And I don't know much else about it other than that, other than those guys have been racing for a long time and they needed
Okay.
a hired gun.
Oh yeah.
They needed someone with liquid cash. And and I was that sucker. So
How did you go about finding these guys?
I had reached out to a couple of different folks that that we know, and to
Hmm.
see if anybody had an open seat, and nobody did, or at least not for me. I mean, let's be
Oh
fair.
yeah, yeah.
They, my reputation surely precedes me. Um, and um, I think Troy's not talking to me after we had Jill on the podcast, and
Yeah.
went through the whole compensation strategy issue, and um,
That Jill Peltier ruining lives.
that's right. Sorry, I need another sip of juice. And
Mm.
so anyway, when like I couldn't find any seats with folks that I know, which isn't that surprising, even for the ones that turn me down. Just with there aren't that many teams from down here that are going up there. It's a long haul.
Hmm.
Um, but so I just put a notice out on, let's see, on the Lemons forum, and then there's one on Facebook too called the Lemons runs called OK Stupid,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think, and actually what happened was Spickard saw that they had posted on OK Stupid and texted me their post, and then I got in contact with them. Um, and got it set up that way. So I was
Okay, cool.
worried that it wasn't going to work out, not from anything to do with them, but I originally had a trial that was supposed to start yesterday that was going to go at least 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and but it was kind of one of those situations where it felt like it was going to settle, but it hadn't settled. Then things looked worse, and then they looked better, and then they look worse. And I went ahead and just pulled the triggers. I'm like, look, I if I wait, I'm not going to have a seat if this does work out.
Hmm.
So I'll pay for it. And then if I can't use it, I can't use it.
Yeah.
But
You're just
then we
taking plea
settled the
deals to
case.
make the race. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Um, and but then we worked out a deal last Thursday or Friday. So
Okay.
I will be able to go, which is I'm just very excited. Road America is um, it's funny because I think for people who are into sports car racing,
Hmm.
um, Road America means a lot. Like
Hmm.
it's one of the historic tracks in America, one of the first big road racing tracks in America after the war, when sports car racing started to take off,
Hmm.
and it's always had big races up there. And then everybody who's not into sports car racing doesn't know a lick about it. You can say, Road America. You say Road America to a sports car guy, and their eyes light up. And you say, Road America to anyone else, and they just look at you like, say what? Whereas if like Daytona is not that situation, right? Like you
Right.
say Daytona, everybody in America knows what Daytona is. They may not know the 24 hours, but they at least know the track. Um, so yeah, I'm really really excited, and it looks like um, there are in excess of 140 entries for that race.
Oh boy.
Yeah, my information today is that there will be 142 cars. There are currently 142 cars who have paid. Now, how many actually show up? It'll be short of that because it always is. But still, 140 cars, even on a 4 mile track, is a lot of traffic, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
That'll be something.
It is something. When we talked about it with Mario a little bit, like those races out at Sonoma that I've done, where it's fields like that, and Sonoma is like what, a 2.7 mile track.
Okay.
But that's a lot of the fun, is negotiating through the traffic, and getting around cars, getting through cars, and using other cars as picks, and
Hmm.
um, avoiding carnage.
Right.
Like it really forces you to hone your craft when you've really got to pay a lot of attention to other traffic. And I think that I've said a lot, although maybe not ever on this podcast. I think that is one of the great things that Lemons gives us that you really can't get anywhere else, because most other series are like 140 cars. That's insane. We're never going to do that, right? And so
Right.
it can be it can be more difficult to really learn traffic management. It's a lot easier when there's a lot of traffic and you're in that
Yeah.
situation all the time. So
Yeah, it's completely different from like sprint racing. It's just so weird, but
right.
you do get a really good feel for running different lines and catching the car and dealing with emergencies. Um, but uh, but yeah, it's just weird because nobody's got super like similarly prepped stuff, you know.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's hard to get in a race with somebody sometimes. But
Yeah, that could be true. It is a different kind of racing. And one of the things I think is so valuable about that is um you get hopefully you get good at recognizing the warning signs of other cars in traffic. Like,
right,
this guy is about to do something stupid. I either
right,
need to get in front of him so that he does his stupid behind me,
hmm
or I need to give him room to do his stupid and not catch me in the process. Um, and that's an unusual racing thing, right? Like that's not something you normally are thinking about in sprint racing. It's just go fast,
mm,
get by somebody a lot. But
mm, I don't know.
mm,
Yeah,
okay, maybe I'm wrong.
no, no. I think you definitely start to identify your competitors, and it's just like a different, and their quirks, right?
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's true. Sure,
so, but it is different, right? In some ways. So, yeah,
it's different that some of them aren't driving like a minivan or
right.
you know, a gorilla on
Mm,
track, something
a
like that.
gorilla. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A gigantic what was that car a few years ago? Somebody was driving, I think that was a Sonoma race, had a gigantic portrait of Kim Il Jong, whoever, one of the North Korean dictators, like on the
Nice.
top of the cars they were going forward.
Nice.
Could get that in SCCA or NASA or
Right.
anywhere.
That's
Certainly not the
strong.
North Korean races.
Yeah. No. That is a strong look. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
so I'm
very cool.
looking
So
forward to that.
have you
I'm
ever
flying up on
driven Road Atlanta?
Wednesday.
Have you ever
Road
driven
America.
Road America? Sorry, I don't know why I keep
I have
saying that
not.
now. Okay.
No, it's easy.
Okay.
No, I have only in the sim. I've done lots and lots of laps in the sim at Road America. I've never driven it in person, so I'm looking forward to it. Flying up
Okay.
Wednesday,
All
back on
right.
Sunday. Um,
Nice.
Getting in around to golf while I'm up there.
Okay. Nice. Sounds like you're living the best life, Mulry. Any other homies
I'm
that we
trying.
know going to that race?
Yeah, actually, we'll know a fair number of people up there. So Jill and Jay are both going to that race, which was um, one of the reasons. I mean, I wanted to race, but I wanted to hang out with the two of them too.
Yeah.
But Brian Pollock and Marty are taking their E36 up from here. Troy and Frank are taking their E30 up from Houston. I know Bob is going. I don't think he and Frank are taking their car. I think Bob's driving something else. I think Anton is bringing the Volvo from California.
Okay.
Because I saw
Commitment.
something about, yeah, because like it's a 3 day cross country trip for him.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
There's somebody else that I know that's going up there with something that is slipping my mind. Oh, Jerry Ringle's bringing something or other from here.
Mhm.
Um, I don't remember what. It might be a Miata. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I think Chris and Mary are going, and there'll be just a whole bunch of folks. So I'm sure it's
Okay.
got to be, I suspect it's got to be mostly folks that do, the Gingerman, Joliet, Midwest circuit. But it's certainly bringing in teams from, far and wide. Probably, the last time we did this was what, like 10 years ago,
hmm
8 years ago, something like
Oh,
that. There
okay.
was one race, and then there was another that was like on the day after the I don't remember if it was Grand Am, IMSA, which organization it was at that point. Like there were professional races on Saturday and Sunday, and then Lemons got the track on just on Monday one
Oh,
year. But
okay.
it's been really hard for Lemons to get a date there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge in demand track, and I think based on looking at looking at the tee time availability up there, like I think this is a this next weekend is about the last kind of weekend of weather that you can count on not being, you know, verging on catastrophic. Like, not that it's
Okay.
going to be, but it might be.
Right.
Because it looks like most of the golf courses up there are closed after the second weekend in October is their last weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I'd guess, Road America's probably got to be about the same. Like, we just can't count on the track being in raceable condition. So,
Right.
um,
Okay.
but I
Well, nice.
suspect that, if Lemons could get this date and hold it, it would do that because the
Yeah.
numbers. I mean, shoot, at 140, I mean, you can do that all day long.
Yeah. That's exciting, man. Well, very cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited to go and race with the Fireball Racing guys and see. I mean, shoot, I haven't been at a Lemons race since Birmingham this year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Time to go racing.
Time to go racing.
Yeah. That's exciting, man. Well,
Yeah.
I fully intend on giving you a review of the Gran Turismo movie. Hard
Spoiler
segue.
alert.
I'm having a little cat emergency.
Uh-oh.
Bwah,
You want to take a
bwah,
time
bwah.
out and come back?
Here's what I want to do. I'm going to tee up a few topics of conversation on Gran Turismo, and then we'll wrap this, and I'm going to go take a cat to a vet.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
that's okay. This is the life of a cat man. So, we're going to do rapid fire Gran Turismo movie review. It deserves it. It's such a fast movie. We're going to have a fast review.
How long is the
Point.
movie?
2 hours.
Like 2 hours.
Yeah. All right. Thing number one, the writing. Okay. Like, I get it, it's a car movie, but you don't have to use words like, or terms like looking in the rear view mirror just to like stuff one more car reference into the writing. Like, just give me a break. Like, people don't talk like that. That's all I have on that topic.
Car people don't talk like that all the time. Just constantly using car references.
I don't think so.
Do you think
But
they
anyway.
fed like they like took an AI and they trained it on the Cars series of movies and then let
Probably, yeah.
and then let the AI draft the dialogue?
It's very likely, yeah, based on what I saw. So that's a thing, and that's pretty. It's a pretty constant theme. All right, there's a crash in the movie that I called bullshit on. Alyssa turned to me. So this, the guy's racing a BMW. He's into real life racing finally towards the end, and he does do like a full on backflip in like a
What?
GT3 race of some sort. Yeah, and Alyssa turns to me and she's like, "That didn't really happen, did it?" And I was like, "No, that's bullshit." Because I hadn't. I mean, my brain was not remembering this at the time that happened. Well,
At Le Mans.
come to find out, yeah, like I called bullshit on it in our group text, and Roland just slid in and said, "Look, no, it's real, and it really happened to that dude." And I was like, "Oh my god, okay." So,
Yeah, Mark
yeah,
Webber in the Mercedes.
no, it's this individual as well. This happened
Oh, what?
in one of his races. Yeah, no, this was part of the real story. The guy did a backflip in a BMW, like a GT3 of some sort.
In a GT3? How did the
Yeah,
nose get off the ground like that?
it was like over a hump or something. I forget it was a Nürburgring or something like
Oh
that.
my gosh.
And it caught air and did a backflip. And so anyway, so that's a pretty cool part of the movie. Check it out. He did a cool thing about like, they're trying to show you what it's like to be a sim racer and a racer and stuff like that. And they
Right.
did a decent job, right? So he had this whole thing about taking alternative lines, and they were kind of trying to show that with the video game, how it tries to show you a
Mhm.
line, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta try other lines so you know where you can drive." That was okay. The movie's just pretty okay. And then like it did a good job of communicating the sense of dedication, I think. There's a lot of that like, oh, I can't go out tonight. I can't go hang out with friends. I can't go, to this dinner. I've got to like focus on this thing. Because if you're going to win I mean, in some ways, like winning a sim racing championship like that,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, think about the fools that can hop on the internet and try to do that, right? Like that's like I remember I did it one. I competed in this thing one time. I did not get very far, but it was like I don't know, 400,000 competitors or something. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole lot more drivers than a sprint car race. Uh, so yeah. So I mean, to win something like that takes a ton of dedication, and they did a good job of communicating that. So good on them for that. But I don't know, B minus.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
I like that we're going to have like a Siskel and Ebert moment here. Like I'd like for this to become this is one of the things we could have become repeating features, like uh, Matt Murphy car movie reviews, books for bedtime reading for toddlers.
I like this. Yeah.
In addition to, like garage updates. I mean, garage updates is a staple, but like we can sprinkle in Matt Murphy car movie review as
We could do some product
semi-regular
linking.
feature.
We could link some products to
Yeah.
Amazon and just like review random Amazon products, put it on the website. Yeah, I'm
It
sure
could
it'll
be
make us
Amazon car related products. Like I have some 1 amp glass fuses in my hand that came from Amazon. Those are
very
pretty
nice.
standard. I don't know how I'm going to review them, but yeah, they're
Hmm.
they're the color of a standard glass fuse. They
You
appear to
should
be the right length.
run the multimeter on them. Get some stats like report on your findings, like
Oh no, that's true. We could test them. Like this is a
the
5 amp fuse. We
resistance.
can see
Yeah,
like, what does it actually blow at?
yeah.
Hmm.
See,
Hmm.
you could spend way too
That
much
would be
time
some
on this
Racers HQ hot content right there.
low value. Yeah, and I had a note here. I said, so we're so close to doing a YouTube stream, but we should do a YouTube stream, and you should bring pictures of Miku wiring job. That's what I wrote down, Miku wiring job. But
Oh,
you could share them on the internets and show us, all the cool things that you've been putting on the Miku.
that's true.
Just an idea.
That is an idea. If we get the live stream going
Hmm.
after I get my hair cut and some plastic surgery,
Here,
you know,
we can just put up pictures of cars, Mulry.
oh, we don't have to be on the live stream. I mean, we are, but not pictures of us on the live stream. I like that idea a lot better.
We'll see. But you're fine, Mulry. You're a beautiful young man. You need to be
Thank
on the
you.
YouTube.
I appreciate all the lies that you tell me.
Wow, you're the best, Mulry.
Well, thank you.
Anyway,
But I'm neither beautiful nor young. I am a man.
it's all relative.
Me and Mike Gundy.
Yeah. I'm a man. I'm 40. Anyway, that's the best.
One of the greatest.
All right. Well, I do have to go, unfortunately, and take sweet Miss Basil to the vet, and I hope everything's fine. But
Well, I'm sorry that you have a catastrophe on your hands.
that's fine. So please share our podcast, like our podcast, subscribe to our podcast, rate our podcast, review the podcast. Check out racershq.com. It's up to date, guys. Mario's latest podcast is out there. So,
And the playlist? Is the playlist updated?
Playlist is out there. The Get Hype playlist. I don't know that it's updated. We could probably put some songs on there that we have mentioned in our various podcasts, but it's out there and it's great. I mean, it's got all the classics. It's got
It'll
Go in
get
the
you hyped.
Distance. It's got Go in the Distance. But it was, your favorite song. What is it, Pat Maury?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite
by
song, but yes.
Cake. But I mean, it's your go
Oh
to the
yeah,
track
the
song.
Cake, Go in the Distance. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's your jam when you go to the track.
It is. That is my personal hype song.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, for Racers HQ, we will see you at the track very soon. Elkhart Lake.
That's right.
Watch out.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.